Most of us interact with lithium-ion batteries every day. They're in our phones, our gadgets, cars, scooters, e-bikes, and even smoke alarms. However, there can be dangerous consequences if you don't use and charge them correctly. We'll be joined by our hazmat unit who will tell you what you need to know when buying these high-tech holiday gifts and how their unit works to keep our city safe. We'll also share best practices to keep your home merry, bright, and free from fire. Stay with us. Freedom from Fire is up next. Hello, and welcome to Freedom from Fire. I'm your host, firefighter Camila Bayete-Taylor. I'm currently stationed in our department's Fire Prevention and Code Division. Here at Freedom from Fire, we aim to improve your quality of living by giving you fire and life safety information. We also introduce you to our local safety partners and department leaders. Later in the show, we'll discuss safety information for decorating your Christmas tree and home. But first, we're joined by Captain Brian Coughlin from our Hazardous Materials Administrative Unit, or HMAU. Captain Coughlin will give us a brief overview of his unit and share best practices when using lithium-ion batteries. Captain, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to start with an experiment, okay? Now, show us what you have here in front of us.
Okay, so this time of year, Christmas, the holidays, batteries are common in the home with all the different toys and whatnot. And what's become very popular in recent years, what we call button batteries, the little round batteries that very easily fit in. They're lithium ion, they last a long time. They're very dangerous for children. Children like to swallow things, right? And that's well known. If you swallow one of these batteries, I'm going to show you what we have is just a regular hot dog. We took a regular hot dog and we inserted the battery. There's your button battery there. We inserted that. And you can already see it starting to bubble in there. We're going to give that some time. You're going to see that the danger if a child is to swallow this is it's going to eat through their esophagus. It's going to burn a hole through the layers of their esophagus. So the longer it stays in there, the worse the problem becomes. And we want to, just really highlight the risk of these batteries so that we don't have this issue happen during the holidays.
Absolutely. All right, well, thank you for starting this demonstration for us, and we'll check back in on see how it's going later. All right. Now, Captain, for those who are unfamiliar, can you explain what hazmat means?
Hazmat, hazardous materials it stands for. So a hazardous material is anything that could do, damage to human life or the environment. It can be fire, right? It could be gases, it could be a liquid, a spill, a chemical, anything that can do damage to people or the environment. So sometimes you can taste and see and feel them, sometimes you can't. Carbon monoxide, great example in the home. Can't taste it, can't see it, can't feel it. So if you don't have the proper monitors to alert you, it'll eventually kill you, right? It removes the oxygen from the air, which is, what kills you. So it can be any number of things that can do damage, sometimes very evident, sometimes not.
Okay. Now, in the PFD, we have a Hazmat Administrative Unit, right? And then we also have a Hazmat Task Force. Can you explain what the difference is and what each one does?
Sure. So we work in tandem. The Hazmat Task Force is your on-the-street mitigation personnel. So Engine 60, Ladder 19, they cover the entire city. Whenever there's a hazardous materials release anywhere in the city, the Hazmat Task Force gets called out. So does HMAU. The Hazmat Task Force is going to mitigate the problem. So if we say we have an oil leak, a gasoline leak on the highway, they're going to come, they're going to stop the leak. They're going to absorb the leak. They're going to overpack the equipment so it doesn't release into the environment. And that's when my unit would take over, Hazardous Materials Administrative Unit. We make sure that gets disposed of properly and that the road gets back open again and things like that. The Hazardous Materials Administrative Unit, we also, a big part of what we do is sort of a counterterrorism role here in the city. Anytime there's a major event in the city, a parade, a marathon, ball games at the ballpark, football games at the stadium, concerts, you name it, we get there long before the event starts, and we're there until several hours after it ends. We're essentially reading the air. We're going to make sure before we bring all these people into a spot that it's safe, that no bad actor has brought something bad into the scene. So we're going to clear it, as we call it, and then throughout the event, we just continue to roam. You won't even really know we're there. We're in our uniform. We have meters hanging all over us, and we just monitor the air. We have fixed equipment we'll put out in the neighborhood. You might not even notice it. Just sending back to our main computer showing us readings of the air. So if some bad actor was to try to, create a problem during an event, we would be able to pick up on that very early and, in conjunction with the police, move to fix that problem.
Well, that's excellent. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us don't realize everything that goes into planning an event and making sure an event runs smoothly. And so I'm sure we all appreciate you all, being there and helping to keep our events safe. So thank you for that. Now, a hazmat response can include anything from a lithium-ion battery fire, right, to illegal drug making, chemical spills. Can you give us an example of what we've seen here in Philadelphia as far as hazmat responses, particularly with lithium batteries?
Oh, absolutely. We've seen them all, I'll tell you right now. So lithium batteries, to start, is without question the biggest problem from a hazardous materials perspective facing the fire department today. So as of yesterday, our hazardous materials task force has had 75 responses since June, and 28 of them were lithium ion. So a third of their responses are lithium ion related. That technology has evolved so fast that we're having trouble keeping up with it. We haven't caught up to it yet. So you're seeing a lot of issues on the street, and our folks are very well trained on how to deal with that. But that's the biggest concern. We have white powder. We had a white powder incident up in the Northeast not long ago. That, if you ingest this stuff, it could have killed you. It did kill one person, unfortunately, not one of our folks. Common stuff on the street, we'll have diesel fuel spills, we'll have gasoline spills. You might remember a few years back underneath Highway 95, a section of the highway by Cotman Avenue burned down. That was a gasoline truck, right? So that was a hazardous material that also had a fire component attached to it. So the gasoline was the problem there, took out a whole section of the highway, so that had to be dealt with. So it's stuff like that we deal with literally every day.
Okay. Now, can you walk us through what happens when we receive a hazmat call, when you all arrive on the scene? Do members suit up first, or how does that whole process
It depends. So sometimes we will know what we're dealing with before we get there en route. So the person, whether it be a first-in company that's an engine or a ladder, or just a civilian, they may know what the substance is. And if they do, we start getting ready to deal with it. There's different levels of protection we need depending on what it is. Oftentimes we don't know what we're dealing with because it's just not regulated that way. So we will take caution. We won't necessarily suit up in our hazmat suits, the big Ghostbuster suits. You probably have a vision in your head. We will put on our protective equipment, our fire gear, and then we'll use our equipment to slowly and steadily move in and try to figure out what this is. We'll set up our decon or decontamination area. We work in teams of two. They check our vitals. We do all these things, and we very slowly and methodically will work towards a solution. A lot of times we will not know exactly what we're dealing with, but through different testing and different samples, it'll get us close. It'll get us in the neighborhood. We know it's an acid, for example. Well, we know how to deal with acid. So it might not tell you what acid, but it'll tell you, hey, you have an acid, so we'll start dealing with it depending on what the protocols are.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I want to go back to talking a little bit more about lithium batteries. The technology, as you mentioned, has evolved. It's evolved rather quickly, right? And with that, it's brought challenges for us in the fire service. Can you talk about what happens when a lithium battery catches fire and how those fires are contained or extinguished?
It's extremely challenging, and it is unlike any other fire that we've seen. So it's not a structure fire. The difference between a lithium-ion fire and a standard fire is the lithium-ion fire, you really can't extinguish it. It creates its own heat. It creates its own chemical reaction. So your only option really is to get into an environment where you can ventilate and let the toxic gases, which will kill you if you breathe them in, and then just cool it down to a point where it kind of burns itself out. That's the best solution for a lithium-ion battery. It's called thermal runaway. What you'll hear initially, you'll hear a hissing sound. Sometimes you'll see very tight, high pressure, whitish gray smoke. Sometimes you won't see the smoke. You'll hear a hissing sound, you'll hear some popping sounds. If you hear that, get out of your house. Don't go near it. There's videos all over the internet to see what will happen. Get out of there. You might have a couple seconds before the whole room's going to be on fire, and it's filling up very rapidly with toxic gases. So if you start to hear or see anything I just explained with those, you just want to get away and call us. We know what to do.
Yeah, that sounds like a problem.
Yep.
Now, I would like to discuss best practices for using, charging, disposing of lithium-powered items, because as you said, they can catch things on fire, and so we want to make sure we're disposing of them correctly. Let's say I bought a hoverboard, okay? How can I know that that's safe?
Well, it's, you know based on the manufacturer, there's a certain amount of trust you have to place when you buy anything. Where we see most of the problems is when you are buying sort of second-hand or second market batteries and trying to attach them to your scooter or to your hoverboard or whatever it is. We recommend it's well documented. Buy your batteries from the manufacturer of the equipment. Mm-hmm. We know they work, right? They have a reputation on the line. They're not going to cheap out when it comes to the casing and the protections that you need. So when this thermal runaway starts, it doesn't get you as fast as I just explained. So buy your batteries from a trusted source and buy batteries that are compatible with the device. Get them from the manufacturer itself. Quite honestly, we see online they buy secondhand. There's a lot of stores popping up around the city selling secondhand batteries that may have been damaged in another event. They take them off of that and resell them to the public at a cheaper rate. You're going to pay the price. Those are where we're seeing a lot of the problems come from. So buy them from a trusted source and buy the proper batteries from the manufacturer of the equipment you're using. That's the best advice I can give you.
Okay, excellent. Now, what about charging things like that? Charging, let's say, an e-bike or a scooter. What's the best practice for that?
My kids aren't allowed to charge that in the house. So we charge it in waking hours only. And we charge it, there's a little outlet coming out of my garage and they can only keep it outside. So that's what I do, just from experience. I see what these things do. I would never leave a lithium-ion powered device plugged in overnight when you're sleeping. You have smoke detectors. These fires spread so fast and so rapidly that those detectors even can't keep up. I would never charge a device overnight. If you have the proper battery, it's meant when it reaches the maximum, it should shut down. It shouldn't be a problem. Right. If you don't, it's going to overheat very quickly. And once it creates enough heat where it can't disperse that heat into the environment, it's going to break down the casing around the battery. And that's what starts the thermal runaway. And once that happens, it's extremely rapid how fast this stuff goes. So don't charge overnight. Don't charge indoors. And whatever you do, do not put these devices near your egress. Don't put them at the bottom of your steps, because in the middle of the night when you have to get out and the fire is the steps, you're stuck.
Right.
Do not put these devices between yourself and the outside. Give yourself a way out.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what about disposing of these items properly? What if you need to dispose of like an old cell phone? How does someone safely dispose of those types of items?
You don't just want to throw these things in the trash for all the reasons we talked about. Most of your Best Buys and your Walmarts have places you can drop them in. They'll accept them for you, and they'll get them to people like us. If not, on a monthly basis, the city of Philadelphia has what we call a hazardous waste drop-off. So it moves around the city, but it's at one of the trash yards, the sanitation yards around the city. Each month it hits a different neighborhood. And no questions, no fees. You can pull up in your car. We're there. We test to see what it is, and we sort it based on where it needs to go, to be properly dealt with. So, worst case, you might have to keep it outside. If you have a lithium-ion battery that you think might be defective and you want to get rid of it, and maybe it's a few weeks before the hazardous waste event, get a bucket of water, put it in the water, place it as far from your house outside as you can, get it out to the property line, and just let it sit there like that. That water will create a cooling effect. So even if it starts to overheat, it'll give you a lot more time. But then just take it to the event. The city has these events. They're on the website, right? Look it up, and you can drop them off, no questions asked. And it's no fee. It's free.
All great advice.
Yeah.
All great advice. Now let's check, before we go, let's check back in on this hot dog.
Yes.
See where we are.
This takes a little time, so I'm going to show you. So even just this hot dog, this has only been about, 15 minutes or so. You can see it's starting to bubble through here. What it's doing and I'm going to show you a hot dog that we dealt with yesterday. Look at the inside of that hot dog. Do you see how it just burned its way through? If you can imagine, that hot dog is the lining of your esophagus. Because when a child swallows these button batteries, it will get stuck right here, and it won't choke them. It's not big enough to close.
Right.
But it'll sit there and get stuck, and then once it gets moist, it creates the chemical reaction we talked about, and it starts to create its own heat. It doesn't need heat from an outside source. It's going to burn through that and eventually have a hole in your esophagus if you don't get to the ER and get this dealt with quick
that's
enough.
scary.
So it's very scary. And when you see it, it's something you don't want to see. You'll never forget it. So hopefully this little demonstration lets you know, keep these button batteries in a safe place. The toys that come with the little screws, all children's toys come with a safety feature to keep the battery locked.
Right.
Use that feature. Keep the battery locked. Don't cut corners, because when the kid pops that battery, they're really gonna pay the price for the rest of their life.
All right. Well, all right. So thank you so much for being here and sharing this very important information for us and telling us how we can stay safe.
You got it.
All right, Captain. Right now, we're going to end with Captain Coughlin. When we return, we'll talk to Captain Michael Kirby from the Fire Prevention and Code Division about fire safety for the holidays, including caring for your Christmas tree and decking your halls as safely as possible. We'll be right back with more Freedom from Fire after this.
I wonder if you know that I want the best for you. That I know what you're going through. I know things aren't easy, but you still show up. I wonder if you know that we can get help. That we don't have to go through this alone. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.
Illicit fentanyl is the deadliest drug threat that our nation has ever experienced. We lost Leo when he was only 19, killed by fentanyl he didn't even know he was taking. He was my heart, my son.
My grandson. I wish you could have met him. Such a beautiful young man. Kind, smart, funny, sweet, a great kid.
Go to ladrfoundation.org to join us in the fight against fentanyl.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You crank it and the beat just moves you right down the hallway. Why not? It doesn't hurt anyone, but listening too long and too loud can actually hurt your hearing. Excessive volume in earbuds, stadiums, and at concerts, even loud machinery, can damage hearing in just 15 minutes.
1 in 5 people 12 years and older now has some kind of hearing loss. So see a hearing professional and let's get those ears checked and boogie on.
No, no, no. Turn it down. Turn it off. Get a hand. Lose the bells and whistles. Drive without distractions.
Welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I'm firefighter Camila Bayete-Taylor with the Philadelphia Fire Department's Fire Prevention and Code Division. We've been talking about the dangers of lithium-ion batteries. We're joined now by my colleague, Captain Michael Kirby, also with the Fire Prevention and Code Division, to talk about how to deck the hall safely and reduce fire risks in your home this holiday season. Captain, thanks for being here.
No problem, glad to be back.
All right, so I want to start by talking about candles.
Okay.
All right, many cultures use candles as part of their holiday traditions, a menorah, kinara, or Advent candles. They're a meaningful part of traditions, as we know, but anytime there's fire, there is risk. Right, so what do you want people to know about using religious or celebratory candles?
Well, first, everyone should keep in mind that December is the peak time of year for our home candle fires. So one thing we want to make sure we leave at least 1 foot clearance around all of our candles, anything that might burn. And it's easy to do that now, but you have the curtain you think about. With a lot of things we don't think about, that combustibles coming in and getting that flame. So make sure we always have 1 foot at least around anything that we're burning. Another thing you want to do, make sure our candles are on a sturdy holder and they're on a sturdy table that they can't tip over and fall. Never want to have any loose clothing around lit candles. If you're going to light the candle, make sure you have tight sleeves. We don't want to catch ourselves on fire. And never leave any lit candles unattended.
All right, excellent, excellent. All right. Now, earlier this week, speaking of fires and fire safety, we held a demo show to show the proper way to cut and care for a live or real Christmas tree. Can you highlight some of the things we need to keep in mind when caring for a live tree?
So for live trees, you want to cut a 1-inch slice off the trunk. It's going to allow it to absorb water. Otherwise, your tree's going to dry out very quickly. You also want to make sure you're checking that water daily. The trees sometimes like to absorb a lot of water. It very easily can get dry and it can lead to a dry Christmas tree, which is extremely dangerous. And you want to make sure you dispose of the tree when it does get dry. You're going to, if it starts losing a lot of needles very quickly, the needles start turning brown or the branches begin to snap.
Okay. Now, what are some of the rules? Can you discuss some of the rules about in Philadelphia for having a live tree?
So we always recommend having an artificial tree over a live tree. That's always our main preference. But if you are going to go for the live tree, we just ask that you follow the rules that we just mentioned. If you do go with the plastic tree, as we call it, or fake tree, regardless, we make sure you never leave it unattended when you have it lit. You want to never block the exits or stairs. Always make sure it's kind of away from anything. And keep at least 3 feet away from any kind of heat source, such as a heater, your fireplace. And we talked about that tree tagging event we had. We actually did a demonstration which kind of showed what happened if you don't follow our safety rules and how quickly the Christmas tree can light on fire and spread to adjacent things around you.
All right, excellent. Now, you just mentioned in recent times we recommended that people choose an artificial tree over a real tree. But both come with their own unique hazards. Can you tell us a little bit more about those other than what you just mentioned?
So some of the artificial trees can burn very quickly, very easily. They're easier to burn. And they also come with the pre-lit lights inside the trees, so we have to watch out for that as well. And they can get real hot, and if we're not careful, they can burn, light up in flames very quickly as well. So.
Okay, so talking about lights,
Yes.
all right, with trees come decorations and lights, right? So it's important to make sure that we're only using indoor lights indoors. What else can you tell us about lights and electrical safety?
So to make sure we're not overloading our electrical outlets, we always recommend one plug per outlet. We don't want to have multiple plugs, multiple extension cords, make sure we're doing all that kind of good stuff, and making sure our electrical outlets and extension cords are not in the way where we can trip and fall. Think about tripping hazard. It's very easy to think about that and not think about that rather, and just put extension cords wherever, and then you're tripping and falling over them. Anytime you're using inspection cord, anything, make sure you inspect it, make sure there's no fraying or tears in that extension cord. If you have a worn or broken cord, make sure you replace it immediately. You don't want to use that. And the same goes with bulbs. If you're in your lights, if you break a bulb, don't leave it in there. Make sure you take that out immediately. And we also recommend using a timer for the outdoor lights, because it's very easy to leave them on all night, and they just keep, the more they go on, they could get hot real quick. So make sure we're using the timers.
Now, can we use outdoor lights indoors? I know we can't use indoor lights outdoors, but.
I think it's okay too, just in case, they're designed for the elements, so it's okay to use outdoor, indoor, but you don't want to use indoor lights outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and also we want to make sure that they have that UL sticker for Underwriters Laboratories. Yes.
And that helps ensure that they are tested and they meet safety standards.
Excellent, excellent. Now, regardless of the time of year, fire department reminds everyone that working smoke alarms is very important to have them. They save lives. If you or your loved ones need them, please call 311. You can put in a request and we'll come and install them for free. Now, I want to return back to our hot dog experiment. All right, and this is now, it's probably been a little bit close to 30 minutes.
Think about that, yeah.
This hot dog. And as you can see, it's probably burned a little bit through. We can see we have another hot dog that was cut apart. We tested earlier. That you can grab that and show, yeah. So we cut it, we split it open, so you can see how the battery has burned through that hot dog. All right, it's pretty scary stuff. You think about we're talking about earlier, children like to play with things, they like to ingest things. Yeah. If a young child does that before bed, goes to sleep, wakes up 8 hours later. Yeah. You know, that's,
It's going to be dangerous.
yeah.
And lithium-ion batteries are becoming so serious now. The fire prevention theme this year was actually focused on lithium-ion battery safety. Normally focused on smoke alarms or getting out. They actually shifted focus completely and went to lithium-ion battery safety. That's how serious of a topic it is now. So.
Yeah. Is there anything else you can tell us about, before we go, anything about lithium-ion batteries that we maybe haven't talked about that we should keep in mind?
Kind of mentioned they're everywhere now, and it's kind of crazy. Even like in your cell phone, anything you don't think about is going to have them. A lot of buildings are going through issues where can they charge them inside, can they not? So we always err on the side of caution. Make sure if you are going to charge it outside and away. If you do, make sure you're always using the device, the charger that the device came with. I think that's important too. And check your device. Make sure it's never damaged. Check your chargers, and just kind of be safe. If you're ever not sure, don't ever use it if you have any doubts whatsoever about the safety. And never mess with those batteries, as you know, Captain Coggin was talking about how dangerous they can be. You see just in 30 minutes what the battery did to the hot dog. Right. So never mess with these batteries. If you ever have a doubt, never use it and get it serviced by a professional.
Absolutely. And as we mentioned earlier, I mean, the lithium-ion batteries, they're great. We even have them in smoke alarms. Yeah. You know, we have 10-year smoke alarms. They have the 10-year lithium batteries. It lasts for 10 years. You never need to change the battery, which is great, but we also need to be keeping in mind safety.
Yeah, it's a hidden danger there. So.
Excellent.
All about being safe.
Excellent. Well, Captain Kirby, I want to thank you again for joining us and providing your expertise. All right. I want to once again thank both of our guests, Captain Brian Coughlin from our Hazmat Unit and Captain Michael Kirby from the Fire Prevention and Code Division. To learn more about the PFD, including fire and life safety information and job opportunities, visit phila.gov/fire. And if you would like to keep up with our show, Freedom from Fire, look for us on Verizon Channel 36, Comcast Channel 56, and LaSalle TV's YouTube page. And remember, you can follow the PFD on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and X. Also, please check out Fireman's Hall Museum, located at 147 North 2nd Street. You'll get to meet our resident historian, firefighter Brian Anderson, and learn about the history of the Philadelphia Fire Department. Thank you again for joining us today on Freedom from Fire. Remember, fire is everyone's fight. Stay safe and free from fire.